So a quick little introduction to Brent. Brent is a local jewelry store. Brent, first of all, is Brent Taubman, a dear friend of our family. But in addition to his community ties, he was raised here, went to Phoenix Hebrew Academy, just like I did. I'm very good friends with his brother, Jacob, my classmate. And I know he is very charitable and philanthropic. I know there have been fundraisers in his jewelry store that he's always giving of his time. And in addition to that, he's a great jeweler. That's my source in Phoenix. So I'm going to turn the mic and spotlight over to Brent. And if he wants to add anything in his bio or something that people might appreciate hearing about it, please do, Brent. You can share your location, etc.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Whoa, that's really big on my face. Okay, can everyone hear me okay?
Hear
I
you.
hope so. And see me okay? Because it looks really odd on my side.
Yes, it does look really odd.
Okay, yeah, the screen's like really big.
Maybe move back.
1 second. Can you close this? I like it like that better.
Face is elongated.
Look at it. It just got humongous all of a sudden.
He's got a tech support. His daughter's helping him on tech.
I might look like a millennial, but I'm not a millennial. Enable mirror. Sorry, guys.
No worries. Sing a song while you do tech support.
Avenu Shalom Aleichem. That's from heard that on Disney or something.
So Brent, first of all, I did make your screen like you're seeing us in the full screen. That's normal. Okay.
Okay. I think we're better there. Okay.
Perfect. Thank you.
Where does it look weird?
Push something. Yeah, it's still weird.
I can just hold it like a.
Let me do this. Okay. Okay. Better. I'll work like this, Aisha. All right. So today I'm going to show you one way we make jewelry. The process of it. There's different ways we tackle each project, but the most common way that we make something when we're custom designing something is the process where I'm going to take you through today. And the first thing we do is we do a CAD rendering. So it's instead of drawing it on a piece of paper or cutting it out of a piece out of metal itself or wax, we design it on the computer, and that's called CAD. So instead of just designing a piece, I'm going to show you the piece that we already designed and kind of what it looks like once we have that finished. So tell me if you can see this. Can you guys see that?
Yeah, we see that.
Okay, so that's the CAD rendering. That's after I've already designed it. And then from there, we take this file and we slice it. So we put it through a program, which I'll show you 1 second. We'll come over here. And so there's the piece, and this is basically a printing plate that we're going to put on our 3D printer. And our 3D printer is unique in that it prints wax, because I need the wax in order to make the jewelry. There's other 3D printers that cost a lot less money that print in resin, more of a plastic material. But this one prints in a wax because I'm going to take this wax and I'm going to put it into dental investment when I'm done. And inside the dental investment, this wax burns out, where the plastic, it doesn't have as clean as it burn out. And I'll explain that a little bit later too. And so basically it just goes through this slicing, it's making everything get on the plate. And then once that's done, it goes directly to our printer, which is where I'm going to take you next. Lance, you want to come with me? Okay.
We've lost you a bit on. We've lost you on your Wi-Fi.
Say again?
We don't see your image on Wi-Fi.
Okay, hold on. Tech support, Asia.
Well, it's probably more of the bandwidth over there. If you give it a second, it might connect better. There you go.
I'm back on?
Yes.
Okay. So here's the 3D printers. I got a couple of them because when one breaks down, I can still keep working. And so there's a wax on the plate, and that's not the Jewish star, but I'm just using this as a sample. And you'll hold that for me, Lance? Actually, hold it on like that. Perfect. So once it's done printing, I take that, and then we come to. Okay, come on. We're going to take that to the casting room. Oh, here's some jewelry, by the way. Let me go look at some all different products.
And Brent, while you're walking to the casting room, do you make all your jewelry? That's one of the questions that people are wondering.
I make a lot of it. So usually when it's a custom design, which is most of my business, I make it. But at the same time, I have stock jewelry that I don't have time to make all the time, fashion jewelry especially. So I buy a lot of my jewelry as well. But my business, I'm known for custom jewelry. So people usually come to me, whether they have something they inherited and they want to repurpose it to make something else out of the materials, possibly add materials. That's what we specialize in. Okay, Lance, cut off that for a second. Okay, so what we do is that wax on that plate is stuck to that plate. So I put it on a hot plate just so I get it hot enough to get that wax off. And so that wax is off. Now you can see it's in two different colors, like a purple color and a blue color. That purple color is just a support material. It's just to protect the building material. And so that's how the printer prints. It builds it layer by layer. When it's printing, it lays down a layer of purple, then it lays down the blue, the building material, and then the purple again. So then I put it in this biofuel solution. It's like gasoline. And we get it to 59 degrees Celsius. So you can see I put it in here. And then we got a little magnet in there. Let's see if you can see it there. And that purple will start dissolving. And at 59 degrees Celsius, the support material dissolves, and it leaves me with building material, such as, and there's the blue. This is a ring. That's not a Jewish star, but that's a ring I'm making. Actually, I can show you the Jewish star next. So once I have the building material, then I'm ready for casting, which is to turn that piece of wax into a piece of metal. So that's the next thing I'm going to show you how we do. We get it ready for investment. And here's, by the way, here's a wax, 1 second, of the Jewish star. And you can see from the back side.
Actually, if you put it up with a better back, I saw it, but if you put it maybe in front of your face or your shirt, it might.
Oh, okay. Let me show you in front of this, actually.
Better contrast.
You see that?
Yeah.
It's probably too much light. Okay. So this, by the way, is a flask. So, and this is a rubber base. So I'm going to take that wax, and there's already wax in the bottom of this base, and we're going to attach the wax into the bottom of the base. Can you see that? You see that?
Yes.
Okay, good. Lance, you want to go ahead and do that, and I'll show you. That's my brother Lance, by the way.
Hello.
Hey, Lance.
How are you?
Everyone's doing well.
Good.
So that's a wax pen. So and heat up the wax, melt it in a little bit in order so we can get it in there. before we had these 3D printers, we had to hand carve these waxes, do it all by hand. And what happened is if this process that we're doing right now didn't work out well, then you have to recarve the wax by hand again. Now, if for some reason this process doesn't go well, all I have to do is reprint it. So technology has come a long way that tremendously helps the jewelry business. And so now Lance is putting the flask over the rubber base, over the wax. He's putting masking tape on top, but you'll see why in a second. And then we're going to take this flask back to the casting room. 1 second.
So there are no metals involved yet.
Right now, we're not dealing with metal. Okay. You want to mix up the... Yeah. So next we're going to take dental investment.
Right by yours.
Is it over there?
Yeah.
Okay. So it looks like, you can see it looks like flour, but you definitely do not want to eat this. There it is. And we're going to weigh it out. Is that coming in the picture, Lance?
It sure is. It's perfect.
Yeah, it looks great. Looks like you're dealing with cocaine or something.
I was going to say that, but I wasn't sure about my crowd. And you definitely do not want to snort this.
I don't know why the rabbi would know how it should be
Right?
made cocaine, but
Diamonds and dime bags. All right. So now we take a little mixer.
so these are just regular cooking utensils we all have.
Exactly. Yeah, you could do this at home.
So to everyone joining, it's just like Roblox. 1 part water to 1 part. I'm just joking.
And that's it. Like we're making pancakes over here. We're making a challah. Challah for challah. Now this is going to go on a vacuum.
Want to get all the air bubbles out of it.
We're going to get all the air bubbles out. You'll watch it starts to bubble over. It'll rise like a solid does. What it's doing is it's removing all the oxygen. So what's going on there, it's removing all the oxygen. It's getting all the air bubbles out, removing all the oxygen. I don't know if you heard that.
Yeah, we did.
Let's see. So what has to happen now is that investment has to dry. First we remove the oxygen again. So we're going to remove the oxygen again. Once that's done, the investment has to dry. This particular investment for silver and for any type of gold, it takes about 2 hours to dry. Platinum is a different investment that we use. It only takes 30 minutes to dry. And so that masking tape that was on that flask is going to get removed, and then we scrape off any investment that went over the flask, and then it looks like this. And that's what happens when it's all dried out. And then, so after 2 hours, we're going to take the flask and we're going to put it in the oven. Oh, there we go. There's the oven. Because I know you guys were coming today, I already have one in the oven. And there's that. And so what happens is that investment inside of that flask in the oven, it turns to basically cement. And that wax that I put inside that flask, it burns out. And it leaves a hollow void of that, an impression of that piece that we made. And so it's all cement except for that empty void, and now we're going to fill that void with whatever type of metal we're casting in. In this case, we're going to cast in 14 karat white gold. A little side note, you'll hear carat 2 times in our business usually, unless someone's hungry, and then it's 3 times. But carat with a K denotes the purity of a metal, K-A-R-A-T. That's how pure of gold it is. So if something's 24 karat, that's pure gold. If it's 18 karat, that means it has 75% pure gold in it. And if it's 14 karat, 58.5% pure gold, and so on and so on. It doesn't matter if it's white gold, rose gold, yellow gold. If it has 14 karat, it's 58.5% pure. And then we mix other alloys with it. Like for rose gold, we mix copper. White gold has more nickel. But gold itself is yellow. So, and then carat with a C denotes how much a gemstone weighs, C-A-R-A-T. All right. So next thing we're going to do is cast. 1 second before you open that up, let me show them the casting unit. First of all, that same vacuum unit that you saw before, this is an old school, I don't know why I can't get it. Here we go. We used to cast like this all the time. When we take the flask and we put it inside of that vacuum hole right there, and it would suck it out, and we'd put the metal inside of a crucible like that and melt it with a torch, and then we'd pour the metal inside of the flask inside of that unit. And we still use that unit for really big jobs and do hand pours, but for like that size of a flask, we use that vacuum unit. But for smaller jobs, we try to use this incredible piece of machinery, this casting unit, this RDO casting unit. And this machine right here, the flask is going to go in there, and it has a vacuum, just like the other vacuum I showed you. It has centrifugal force, so it's spinning in a circle. It melts the gold that I put in there at the perfect temperature, and it throws the gold inside of the flask at the perfect speed, and it turns that empty void into a piece of 14 karat white gold that we're making. Okay, here we go.
How long does this part of the process typically take?
So you can see
1 second.
see it's empty.
See, it's empty in there. 1 second here. Yeah.
It's coming very soon. So you're going to start to see a red fire. And then the piece of metal here is going to liquefy.
So again, for those of you who didn't hear that, there you see that red fire in the center of that window.
Good.
Okay.
Now in exactly 150 seconds.
So now we gotta wait 150 seconds, and we're gonna take it out of the casting unit, and we're gonna quench it into water. Depending on what we're casting, what metal we're casting, you have to wait a certain amount of time in order to quench it, to dip it into water, or else you could ruin your casting.
Now, a curious question: do all jewelers typically have the process in their own, or typically they
No, I'd say 90% of jewelers do not do it. So they sub it out. And they might have, like, from everything you're seeing today, one might have a 3D printer, one might not have the ability of casting. A lot of times people have casting, but they don't have 3D printers. Yeah, so most places just sub it out. And so I do trade work for other jewelry stores, and it could be anything. It could be they know how to do CAD, but they don't have a 3D printer, so I can just print it for them. I can just do the casting for them. I can do the polishing for them. Any part of this process can be subbed out. But we make everything in-house, so I can just rely on myself.
and the trade is taught. Like, who taught you this, or it was all self-taught?
Oh, no, well, you put good people around you. It's like anything else. So here's, show you a couple of them. We have a couple more in here today, but here's Rick. 1 second.
Hey, Rick.
Rick, how long you been doing this now?
Over 40 years.
Rick's over 40 years in. And where is he at? There's Rick's there. And then here's Eric. Eric.
Hello.
Eric, how long you been doing this?
30 years.
30 years.
Wow.
Yeah, so, they've been doing it as long as I've been alive, basically.
They taught you when you were in diapers.
All right, here we go. I think we're ready to quench.
What did you say the water does to it?
Oh, well, I mean, that's super hot. So that's why it's boiling, is because it just went in there, yeah. And then next we're dumping out the investment. Can you see that?
Yeah, we see that. It's pretty cool.
Turn it around. And so that's good. Got it cleaned up a little bit. Let's see here. Let's clean it up. Give a knife. So we're going to get off the investment. And the next part we're going to do is, well, I want to show you something else first, actually. Let me see it real quick. So we call this bottom part the button, and that's where the wax went into the rubber mold. That's called the button right there. And then these are sprues, these little connection parts. That's just to flow metal to the different areas of the wax. So now we're going to cut off all that excess metal. We're going to get rid of that, and then we're going to polish. We're going to start polishing the metal because it's a rough casting. We got to make it smooth and put a high polish on it, and then we're going to start setting diamonds.
Now, you said that that's a yellow gold?
No, this is white gold.
Okay.
14 karat white gold. Clean it up more.
Just run through the ultrasonic real quick.
This is 1 second. Sorry.
Wow.
This is an ultrasonic. So this unit just gets hot and it holds liquid and it vibrates. So we put different chemicals in there in order to degreasing chemicals to get.
Brent, you'll have to repeat what you said because of the mic.
Okay, so ultrasonic is just a good degreaser, gets all the stuff off of it, especially after we do final polish, like over here. And there's different polishing. Some takes off scratches, some puts height, makes it look extra shiny, depending on what polish you use. And then we usually take stuff after that. We put it in the ultrasonic because it has all that polish residue off of there, and it helps get that grime off a lot faster. And then we steam it with a high pressure steamer. And then next, I'll show you over here. Removing the screws. And usually he never breaks one of those, but I guess he was feeling pressure. Okay. And there's that piece, that button, and the screws. Let's put it in here. Ah, it's hot. Can you see that okay?
We do see that. Perfect. The button that you were referring to still has some gold inside of it, correct?
Yeah, that's all gold, all 14 karat.
So that gets remelted.
Yes, so now depending on what metal you're using, white gold, they're mixtures of alloys. So you keep using it over and over again and it becomes very brittle. So at some point you have to refine it, take all the pure gold out of it, and then mix it again with new casting alloy.
Now, is that something you guys do as well?
I don't refine it to take out all the pure gold. I take that to a refinery. But once I have the pure gold, I can alloy it myself. Yeah. And then like white gold, you only want to use it a couple times because it becomes very brittle. Yellow gold's a lot more forgiving, and platinum's a lot more forgiving. But a lot of times, like if a customer has a piece that says 14 karat on it and it's white gold, I'm not going to use that and mix it with my 14 karat white gold. There's always going to be issues because I don't know what jeweler mixed what metals with theirs, and then I mix it with mine that's different, and then there's always issues with that. All right, so next you want to get that set up for like setting. So now we're going to clean up the casting. That's final. I got to cut a check.
What size stones are we taking them now?
I think those held 1.2s. I'll give you those.
When does it get its shine?
So really the thing we would do is polish this casting up a little more, and then we start setting stones. Actually, before we start setting stones, after we clean up the casting at the bench by hand, then I put it into a tumbler, which is, can you see that unit right here?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this, let me turn it on here. Actually, I'll show you this one here. So it has these little, what do you call them, Rick?
needles.
Yeah, they're needles, stainless steel needles inside there. In this unit, you put the piece in there and you push start, and it starts spinning. And so with those needles, it gets into every crevice possible that it can. So after we do a polish it by hand, we put it into the tumbler to give it even a better polish. And then after that, we're going to start setting stones. After we're done setting stones, then we go to the buffer and do the final polishing. Like I said, we have different polish residues that we use to polish the piece. After that's done, it will go into the ultrasonic to get all that polish residue off, and then steam it. And then after that, if it's white gold, we electro clean it. So there's a positive and a negative. You see the stuff over here?
Yeah, we see that.
Yeah. And so here there's electro clean inside of it. So we take, let's say that the Jewish star, and we'll put it on here, and we'll put it on to the positive stick, and we'll dip it inside there. And basically that takes off all anything that's impure, because we don't want to contaminate the rhodium. The rhodium is the yellow stuff in this beaker right here, and that's what's going to make the metal look bright silver, is that acid. It puts on electrostatic plating. This acid right here is super expensive. Where we go? I can't figure out the camera. There we go. That stuff was trading for like $400 an ounce, and it went up to what, like 12,000? It went up to like 12,000 an ounce for that stuff right before the COVID hit, and then it dropped way down, and now it's starting to climb back up again. But it's part of the platinum family, and again, white gold would not look silver if it wasn't for rhodium plating it, and that's why that's done.
Now, how does that work? Can you reuse that, and how many times can you reuse that?
Oh, the rhodium, yeah. It only takes so much. You can only do so many pieces, and then you have to dump it. And you actually set. One cool thing about this business, we do a lot of recycling. We send that back to the rhodium people, and they refine it, and then they can make more pure rhodium out of it. Same thing with like all the gold dust that comes off after drilling, polishing. It gets all over our clothes. It gets on the floor.
Wow.
That's all from working in the bench so many times. After you polish the metal, you sweep it, and then you can refine that and turn that back into pure gold, and then make stuff out of that.
There's
So
probably a Jewish lesson in that.
is what, recycling?
Yeah. Every little detail counts.
So right now, Rick is drilling out all the little holes where the diamonds are going to sit.
Now, is this Jewish star already sold?
No.
So that's just you chose one, you'll sell it.
Well, of course, I can give it away.
Yeah, but I'm saying, but the idea of this,
I'm sure your wife would like one.
I don't know.
Because actually, I have right there. I'll say it.
There you go.
That's yellow gold, rose gold, white gold.
Nice.
That's the finished product. Let's see if I can get it better. Let me put this down here. That's a fire dancer, by the way. Dave Matthews. Any Dave Matthews fans? Another one. Another fire dancer. And the Jew stars.
Yeah, awesome.
Let's try to get.
So that is how the finished product will look.
That's how the finished product will look. I'm not sure how clear it's coming across.
No, that was pretty clear. So curious. I'm sure everyone's wondering how much will a piece like that sell for?
How much do you think?
You got the wrong person. There's a lot of knowledgeable people on this.
First of all, that particular piece has a half carat total weight of diamonds. Actually, it has, I can tell you how many stones. It's got 48 diamonds at a half carat total weight. So basically, those are what we call one pointers. So there's 100 points in a carat. And so those are 0.01 of a carat each. And those are basically 1.3 millimeters each. That's the diameter from girdle to girdle on the stone. And that piece would sell for $1,800.
Wow.
That's why I wanted you to guess. I was hoping you'd guess 18.
I like that number.
So I can.
I'm sure everyone was thinking 18.
Yes.
Jewish star, Jewish number. If you would have done a chai, everyone would have guessed 18.
Oh, I got a chai somewhere. Let's see. Problem is, right now I don't know where anything is.
No worries.
Does anyone have any questions?
So I have a question that's not necessarily. This is from the chat, from the texts.
Okay.
So one of them is, what got you into this business? Was it passed down from family?
No, my dad has his own law firm. So really that's what I was planning on doing. But then I had my first child at 21 years old. So then I had to get to work. And then a few years later, I got into the diamond business by being a road salesman. So I used to sell loose diamonds on the road. I used to strap $350,000 worth of loose diamonds and a fanny pack on my ankle and on my waistline, and take a plane, rent a car, and go to mom and pop stores all over the United States. And then I started having people I knew wanting me to make them a piece of jewelry. So then I met a jeweler, and I would bring him stuff to his house, and then things got like ridiculous. It's too much. I need to have him next to me at all times. And then that happened, and then started buying tools, and then more tools, and more tools, and then more jewelers, and more tools, and more jewelers. And that's it.
Wow. Okay, so now are you ready to take some questions?
Let's hear him.
So it might be best if you're in a good spot with lighting, if you want to find an area just to pause, so it'll be easier
Okay.
to focus.
All right.
So one of the questions that was asked, this is perfect, was, is your workshop in your home? I'm going to let you do the answers, even if I know some of them.
Is my workshop in my home? No. That's the only place that's my sanctuary. I don't bring the work home, well, kind of, except my cell phone. But no, everything's at Diamonds at my store.
And since I didn't share where your store is, if you wanted to just share the corner.
I'm in Phoenix, Arizona, about a half mile north of PV Mall, which is on the southeast corner of Tatum and Thunderbird.
Awesome. Okay, if anyone has questions that they didn't put in the chat and you wanted to unmute your mic for this, feel free, or you can type it out. They don't have to be related to this presentation just specifically. So if you have a question about jewelry or anything like that, Betsy Greenberg, go ahead.
Brent, was that Eric Vijams at the bench?
Yes.
Give him my love.
Hold on. Let me go back there.
Now, for those of you who don't know Betsy, who just spoke up, I'm going to put this into gallery mode. Betsy used to sell, and maybe still does. Betsy, you'll have to talk about that one.
Where are you at?
Jewelry at Saks Fifth.
Oh, okay. So the first question from the audience was, is that Eric Beecham's in the background over there? And so, Betsy.
Let me get Betsy.
Hey, Betsy, how are you?
Oh, I'm fabulous.
I'm real fine. Good to see you.
Saw the back of your head and knew it was you.
Wow. Are you enjoying your retirement?
Oh, I am having a blast.
Oh, good. We'll have to catch up.
Please, I would love that. Good to see you, darling.
All right.
Thanks,
Take
Brent.
care.
Betsy, now you know where he works. So
I do.
You know what they call that? Small world.
It
That's
is.
right. All right. Any other questions for Brent? So opening it back up. Look at that. Someone knows Betsy on here as well.
That's funny.
Do you know Betsy? That's the question.
I don't think I've ever met Betsy.
Betsy, you're
Good
gonna
to
have to
meet
meet.
you, Brent.
Nice to meet you too.
I've heard some great things about you.
Don't believe everything you hear.
So Brent, there's a question coming up from either Herb or Ethel Spivak.
I was going to ask, even De Beers now is making an artificial diamond. What's your thoughts on?
On lab grown diamonds, it's a good question. So they've been around for a while, and our industry has been fighting them tooth and nail to get rid of them. But I would say, especially the last 2 years, the popularity of them has gotten so popular that as a jewelry store, you don't have a choice but to either get out of our business or evolve and adapt and and start selling them yourself. So lab grown diamonds. So basically, there's two different processes. There's CVD and HPHT, high pressure, high heat, on the ways to make lab grown diamonds, and they're able to create a piece of coal that has the same chemical makeup as a mined diamond, or the one that came out of the ground. Once you have that piece of coal, that's the same. You go through the same process with cutting it and then turning it into a shape. They have different color ranges, just like a mined diamond. They have different clarity grades, just like a mined diamond. So they are identical. I can tell a synthetic diamond or a moissanite, which is another lab-grown stone that's very similar to the chemical makeup of a diamond, but I cannot, and no one can tell unless you have a piece of machinery that tells you like what pressure, what heat that certain stone was created under, and that's the only way that you can tell if that stone is mined or lab-grown.
Are they popular because of the less cost?
Oh yeah, like 50% less. So yeah, you can get a much better quality stone, a bigger stone. The only issue, so forever, if someone buys a diamond from me, let's say it's a 1 carat at a certain quality, and it costs $5,000, let's say, I'd allow them anytime to trade that diamond in, and I'd give them $5,000 store credit, however they want to spend in the store. It could be on a watch. I don't care. I'm going to give them for that single stone $5,000 if it's a mined diamond. If it's a lab-grown diamond, I don't know how much I'm going to give them on trade, because the more people that get involved in lab-grown diamonds, we feel as an industry the price, and already is, coming down on those. At one point, it probably will stay at a certain level, but we don't know when that's going to hit. Where mined diamonds, it's a controlled commodity. The influx of how many mined diamonds are allowed into the marketplace is controlled, and that's how their price is able to maintain. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Ethel, was that good?
Well, yes, and De Beers always regulated the market.
Yes, well, De Beers partially regulated the market. I think they own like 80% of the diamond mines, and their purpose of getting involved in the lab-grown diamonds was really to start undercutting everyone else in the lab-grown market, because they wanted to create such a price difference between mined ones and lab-grown ones to make the mined ones still more appealing mentally to the mass. Because if something's so much more expensive than something else, De Beers is thinking that it's going to create a marketplace for the mined diamonds that still has a high demand. Does that make sense?
Well, yes, and then you have the problem of the labor involved in mining the natural stones.
Well, yeah. So they're the same chemical makeup. So we can't refer to them as synthetic too, by the way, because it's the same. It's the same. They're not synthetic. They're real. And as far as like being eco-friendly, there is a great argument for that it might even be worse, the lab-grown diamonds, because of the amount of energy that you have to use in order to create them might be worse in the way than they digging them out of the ground. So they're not exactly eco-friendly.
That's a fascinating concept.
That's how they're marketed, though. Is the funny thing is their market is like eco-friendly, but the amount of energy that it takes to create it is not eco-friendly. Now, we talk about blood diamonds, where it basically cuts that out, because if you're not mining them and people are getting paid, slave wages and stealing them and dying for them. But my argument with that is that you can find that in any commodity. People will do unethical things for money, no matter what it is. So, and in fact, I don't know if you ever watched that movie, but one of the greatest lines to me in that movie was one older African gentleman said to the other older African gentleman, is, "Thank God Africa hasn't discovered oil yet, because we'd all be dead."
Good point. That was a great question, because I've never heard of that in my life. So I learned everything so far. Do you sell them in the end? Because I know you mentioned that it's sort of, people are sort of being forced into that industry.
Oh yeah, so I'm an adapter, and that's why I do what I do. Is I get involved in every facet of my business. So if one thing is slow, two things are slow, I have other parts of my business that I can do. So I wholesale diamonds, I do repairs, I trade work, everything in our business I'm involved in.
And just to put that out there, my menorah was injured, if I can call it that.
Right.
Silver menorah, I brought it to Brent to fix as well. So just
People bring me stuff I don't want to work on, sometimes, including glasses. Like, I don't want to work on fixing someone's glasses.
Do they make silver glasses?
It doesn't matter. It's just because it's metal. But like, I have a laser welder, which is one piece of machinery I didn't show you. So it's able to weld without a torch. You look through a microscope, and it has a laser, and you can take a thin little piece of metal and push the floor pedestal, which sends the laser across and welds it to the piece without a high degree of heat, and very precise.
Wow. Ruth, did you have a question? I saw you unmuted.
Yes. When you have flat gold pieces that have decorations on them, they look like they're scratched in. Do you ever do that, or is that strictly for artistic people?
Give me an example.
Well, Italian bracelet made out of flat gold, large pieces with designs, not scratch, that's not a nice word.
Well, so it could either be engraved. So like,
engraved is a nicer word.
Yeah, so if it's etched into the piece,
yes,
there's two ways I can do that. I can do that in CAD and print a wax and cast it, or I can take a flat piece of metal, or any shaped metal for that matter, and I have an engraving machine to where it etches out that design.
Directly on the gold, though.
Yes.
Okay. That's an artistic style, I think.
Yeah, there's also hand engraving, which is a different art, which is actually by hand engraving, which might be what you're referring to, a hand engraved piece where the metal, a very decorative design is done. That
was in Italy. That used to be the style of things that you bought in Florence.
Ruth, if you have one on you, maybe bring it. We could look at it in the
I don't have it right on me, but thank you.
Betsy, do you have a question or a comment you want to add to that?
Yes, Brent, do you restring?
Say again?
Do you string? Do you do pearls?
Oh, yes. Pearl restringing, yes.
Brent?
Yes.
Hi, my husband and I live in Prescott, and we have a setting, a diamond. I mean, it was would have been, I never knew her. My husband's mother was gone when we met. We've been married over 50 years, and we have this ring. We took a diamond out of it. It is a platinum setting. Would you be able to duplicate that?
Yes, we can replicate it.
Yeah, replicate it. Okay. and then we just get a new diamond for it.
Yes. Why would what's wrong with what did you do with the diamond that came out of it?
Oh, I was young and stupid.
You sold
I
it.
took it out and made a new ring out of it 45 or 46 years ago.
That's not stupid. I have customers. I mean, that's what we call repurposing. So, people
Because
get
now I
You-
wish I'd have kept it.
now you like the style, right?
Yes. Right. I mean, it's also too small, but you could, what did you call, replicate it?
Yeah, we replicate it.
Okay. So
But at the same time, if you still have the ring,
yes.
why replicate it? Unless you want two of them, I can clean that one up,
Make it bigger.
and make it look brand new, size it, and that will save you a lot of money.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so we'll make an appointment when this whole thing kind of settles down when
Yeah.
we come to Phoenix.
Whenever's good.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, you're welcome.
Were there any other questions that someone had of Brent?
Want to find a hand engraved piece. Oh, here's something. 1 second.
That's maybe center it on the camera.
All right, hold on 1 second.
I mean,
Let me get down here. Oh,
Ooh,
yeah.
sparkly.
oh, you see the center of it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Not that clear.
But we can tell from that.
So that etching's done by hand. At the same time, I can do that in the wax and cast it, clean it up, and then I take a graver, which is basically like a knife, and I engrave the lines thicker to make it look like it was even done by hand. And basically, I'm just like tracing what I made. Yeah. So you don't even have to have such a great skill at hand engraving as long as you have everything already there and you just have to kind of follow the lines.
Now, you have a question in the chat. Do you repair rings? I have a platinum ring and a white gold ring. Both belong to my parents and they split.
Yes. Yeah, we do everything.
Stevie, that's your answer. Any other questions before we let Brent get back to work? And his daughter has a big final today. She said so.
Yeah, I think her last finals today, actually.
Quite exciting.
I don't have a question, but I have to say it's remarkable that all the steps that you have to go through to make a piece of jewelry.
Yeah, thank you. Sometimes people just think, you wave a wand and it's done. But yeah, I mean, you're building the house in the size, of a finger. And it takes time.
It was very interesting. Thank you.
Yes,
Oh, for
thank you
sure.
very much.
And
Brett,
I'm-
what is the cross street on Tatum that you're on?
Tatum and Thunderbird, southeast corner.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Because of the COVID, I'm open by appointment only right now.
Yeah.
I was open 7 days a week, but then I went by appointment only. That way I can control how many people come in and out and who comes in and out.
And the name of your store is?
House of Diamonds. Right
House
here.
of Diamonds. Okay, good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And actually, I'm going to put it up on the screen for a second just so people see the address over here.
I want to get a pen.
And I could share it afterwards as well to anyone who would like. But that's 13637 North Tatum Boulevard. It is Suite.
Phyllis, you got a pen? Hold on, Rabbi.
Gary, I'll share it with you afterwards.
Okay.
All
He's
right.
gonna pick up afterwards, okay?
I'll
Thanks,
share it with
Brett.
you afterwards.
All right. Nice to meet y'all.
Thank you
Nice
so
to
much.
meet you. Thank you.
Brent.
You're
We
fantastic.
appreciate all your time.
Thank you
And-
so much. All the best.
All right, guys. Take care now. Stay healthy.
Very much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.